Welcome to Cheater Confessions. Let's get started with today's story. I still remember that Thursday night like it was yesterday. Melissa and I were at our favorite Italian place, the kind of restaurant where we used to talk about the future, house, kids, where to travel next. We'd been together 3 years, engaged for 8 months, and our wedding was 4 weeks away. Everything felt settled, simple, until she put down her fork, looked at me, and said it. "I invited Darren to the wedding," she said, as if she were talking about the weather. I almost dropped my glass. "Your ex-boyfriend Darren?" She nodded, twirling her pasta. "Yeah, we're still friends. It would be weird not to invite him. We dated a long time ago, but we're adults now." "Melissa, he's your ex. You dated him for 4 years." She smiled like I was being ridiculous. "If you loved me, you'd understand. It shows trust, Peter. Maturity." I set my fork down. "You want your ex sitting there, watching you marry me?" "God, you're so insecure," she said, shaking her head. "He's married now. His wife, Claire, can't make it because she's overseas volunteering. It's not like he's showing up to cause trouble." Something in the way she said overseas didn't sound right. Too quick, too rehearsed. "What's she doing overseas?" I asked. "She's helping with medical outreach or something. Why does that matter?" "No reason," I said, forcing a small smile. "If it's important to you, I understand." Her shoulders relaxed instantly. "That's why I love you. You don't make things complicated." She reached for my hand. I nodded, calm on the outside, but my mind was turning. That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept hearing her voice. "If you loved me, you'd understand." I understood all right, just not the way she thought. Over the next week, I tried to convince myself I was overthinking. But little things kept adding up. The kind that don't scream at you, they whisper until you can't ignore them anymore. Melissa started guarding her phone like it was classified. She used to leave it on the counter. Now it stayed glued to her hand. One night, I asked, "Everything okay?" "You've been on your phone a lot lately." She smiled too quickly. "Just wedding stuff, Peter. Don't get paranoid." I let it go, at least on the surface. But I knew something was wrong. Then one afternoon, while she was at work, I remembered her old iPad still synced to her messages. I opened it. I wish I hadn't, but I'm glad I did. Her last conversation with Darren was still open. The first line I saw from him read, "Hard to believe it's been 10 years. You still look exactly the same." Her reply, "Guess some things don't change. Timing's everything, right?" Scrolling further made my stomach tighten. Late-night texts, jokes about old dates, and one message from her that said, "Sometimes I miss how simple things were with you." I checked Darren's social media out of curiosity, and that's when the lie cracked open. His wife Claire wasn't overseas. Her latest post was from a local coffee shop, time-stamped 2 days ago. She worked at a dental clinic 20 minutes from our venue. When Melissa got home that evening, she was cheerful. I asked casually, "Hey, what table were you thinking of for Darren?" "Table 2, she said without looking up. "Close to us. He won't know many people, and it'll be awkward if he's too far away." "Right," I said. "Wouldn't want him missing anything." She paused, glanced up. "You're not still hung up on that, are you?" I smiled. "No. You said he's happily married, remember?" She nodded, relieved. I watched her move around the kitchen, calm, confident, lying without blinking. That night, I made a decision. If she was going to test me with trust, I'd test her with truth. I waited 2 days before reaching out to Claire. I didn't want to sound like some jealous fiancé trying to stir trouble. I wanted facts. Her Facebook profile was open enough for me to message her. I typed slowly, reading each line twice before hitting send. "Hi, Claire. You don't know me, but my name's Peter. I'm engaged to Melissa. She mentioned your husband, Darren, will be attending our wedding next month. She also said you're away volunteering overseas. I hope I'm not overstepping, but I just wanted to confirm. Is that true?" She replied an hour later. "Overseas? That's new to me. Darren told me he's going out of town for a work conference that month." Why would she say that? "Maybe because she didn't expect you to know," I wrote. "If it helps, I found some messages between them." "Nothing explicit, but definitely not friendly," I replied. There was a pause, 10 minutes of silence that felt like an hour. Then another message popped up. "Thank you for being honest. This explains a lot." He's been distant for months, working late, avoiding eye contact. Maybe this wedding is their excuse to meet again. We talked for a while, calm, polite, both too tired to be angry yet. I told her I wasn't interested in a screaming match. I just wanted clarity. She agreed. Then she said something that shifted everything. If he's really going, I want to be there too. Not to cause drama, but to look him in the eye. That was when the idea took shape. Not revenge, revelation. I told her about the rehearsal dinner at the restaurant next Friday. Small guest list, intimate. Perfect for honesty. I'll come, she said, but I won't make a scene unless they force me to. Fair, I said. We'll keep it quiet. Just truth out in the open. The night of the rehearsal dinner came faster than I expected. Everyone looked relaxed. Melissa was glowing, greeting guests, checking her reflection in the window every few minutes. I arrived 15 minutes late, on purpose. Claire met me outside. She wore a simple navy dress and carried herself like someone who'd already made peace with what she was about to face. "You ready?" I asked quietly. She nodded once. We stepped inside. I walked toward the head table, where Melissa sat beside Darren, laughing a little too loudly at something he'd said. When she saw me, her face lit up, until she saw who was standing behind me. "Claire," she blurted out. "What are you—" I thought, "Overseas?" Claire finished for her, voice calm but sharp. "Yeah, that's what he told me too." Strange, considering I was at work all week. Darren's color drained. "Claire, this isn't what you think." She cut him off. "Then tell me what it is." The room fell silent. Melissa tried to keep her composure, forcing a shaky laugh. "Okay, this is ridiculous. Peter, what's going on? Did you seriously bring her here to embarrass me?" I kept my tone even. "No, Melissa. You did that yourself when you lied about her being overseas." Her father savior looked between us. "Melissa, is this true?" "I just didn't think it mattered," she said quickly. "I didn't want to make things awkward." Claire looked at her coldly. "You made them awkward the moment you started texting my husband every night." Gasps rippled through the table. Darren reached for Claire's hand, but she pulled away. Melissa stood, voice trembling now. "Peter, please, let's not do this here." "Where then?" I asked. "At the wedding? While he's standing next to our table?" Her eyes filled with panic. "It's not like that." "Then tell everyone what it is." She said nothing. I turned to Savior. "You should probably know, sir. The wedding's off." Then I walked out, leaving them frozen in silence. I didn't sleep that night, not because I regretted what I'd done, but because I kept replaying the silence. It wasn't anger that filled the room. It was truth finally catching up. The next morning, Melissa showed up. Her makeup was smudged, hair unbrushed, still in last night's dress. "Peter, please," she said, voice breaking. "Can we talk?" I stepped aside. "You've got 5 minutes." She stepped in, hands shaking. "I know how it looked, but I swear nothing happened. Darren's just a friend." I wanted to prove I'd moved on. I kept my tone steady. By lying about his wife? By inviting him to our wedding like it's a reunion? Tears rolled down her face. "I didn't mean to hurt you. I just wanted closure." "You wanted attention," I said flatly, "and you got it." She started crying harder. "Please, we can fix this. I'll do whatever it takes." "It's already done, Melissa." She sank onto the couch, sobbing into her hands. "You're making a mistake." I picked up a folder from the counter and placed it beside her. "That's every receipt for the wedding. Venue, catering, flowers, band. 19,000 total. All under my name. If you and your family want to keep the date, I'll transfer everything once I'm reimbursed." She blinked up at me through tears. "You're serious?" "I don't do half measures." A few hours later, her father, Xavier, called. His tone was clipped, embarrassed. "Peter, I don't agree with how you handled that dinner, but I understand. We'll cover the costs. You have my word." "Thank you," I said. "That's all I need." Before hanging up, he sighed. "She's not taking this well." I'm not surprised. By that evening, news had spread through both families. My phone buzzed nonstop. Questions, sympathy, gossip. But I didn't respond to any of it. Melissa tried calling again. I let it ring. 3 days passed before she showed up again. Different this time. Flowers in one hand, a box in the other, smiling like none of it had happened. "I made your favorite," she said softly. Maybe we can talk now? I stood in the doorway. Melissa, I think you should go. Peter, please. I miss you. I'll cut Darren off completely. I'll delete everything. I made a mistake. Yeah, I said. A mistake you repeated for months. Her face tightened. You don't have to be cruel. I'm being clear. She tried to push past me, but I blocked the door. Go home, Melissa. When she realized I wasn't giving in, her expression changed. Tears vanished, replaced by anger. You're just trying to look like the good guy, she snapped. You made me look crazy in front of everyone. I didn't raise my voice. You didn't need help with that. She left, slamming the door so hard the picture frame rattled. The next morning, she started posting on social media, a long paragraph about a relationship destroyed by jealousy and control, a photo of her ring on the table, and a caption that said, "Sometimes love isn't enough." The comments started rolling in, her friends offering sympathy, tagging me, asking what happened. I said nothing. But then Claire stepped in. She commented one line. If it was jealousy, why did you tell your fiancé I was overseas? Within an hour, the tone of the thread flipped. Screenshots started appearing. Messages between Melissa and Darren that only Claire could have known about. Enough to show the truth. By evening, Melissa deleted the post, but it was too late. The screenshots were everywhere. Her friends went silent. Some unfollowed her. Others messaged me privately to apologize for believing her first version. I sat in the quiet. I didn't feel triumphant, just done. The damage was already complete, and this time she'd done it to herself. A week later, Claire called me. Her voice was calm, but I could tell she was sitting on something heavy. Peter, you need to see what I found, she said. It's about your wedding. She explained that while sorting through Darren's old emails, she came across an unsent draft. It was addressed to Melissa. The subject line read, "After the vows." The message was short but clear. Darren wrote, "If you still feel the same, give me the signal during the ceremony. I'll stand up when they ask if anyone objects. We can leave together before anyone stops us." For a moment, I didn't say anything. It wasn't a shock anymore. It was confirmation. I thanked Claire and asked her to send everything. She did. I forwarded the screenshots to Xavier with one line. "This is what I avoided." He replied 10 minutes later. "I'm ashamed, Peter. I don't know what to say." From that day, Xavier cut off her financial help. Melissa had been living at her parents' house since the dinner, but once her father pulled support, she had to move out. She ended up renting a small apartment in a rough part of town, working extra shifts to cover rent. Her social media turned into a slow spiral, sad quotes about heartbreak, late-night posts about forgiveness. The same people who used to flatter her were gone. Most of her posts had no comments, no likes. Claire filed for divorce shortly after that. She'd spent years excusing his distance, but once the truth surfaced, she understood there was nothing left to rebuild. Darren and Melissa never got together because their relationship was built on nostalgia, not trust. They both chased the comfort of the past instead of facing the reality of who they'd become. Once the secrecy came to light, the lies, the manipulation, they lost the illusion that had tied them together. The two of them, once so smug, ended up where they belonged. The day that should have been our wedding came. I woke early, stretched, and felt something I hadn't in months. Peace. No anger, no confusion, just stillness. Instead of tuxedos and vows, my friend Ori and I spent the morning golfing. We laughed more than we had in years. Afterward, we ate at a steakhouse Melissa used to call too expensive for no reason. Halfway through dinner, Ori's phone buzzed. He looked at me. "You're going to want to see this." It was Melissa. She'd gone to the venue wearing her wedding dress, alone. She'd taken selfies under the arch, captioned, "The day that should have been. True love means forgiveness." Her sister commented, "Melissa, stop embarrassing yourself." And then Claire, never one to waste words, wrote, "Same dress you planned to wear before running off with my husband? Classy." By the next morning, the wedding dress post was gone, but screenshots lived on. Weeks passed quietly. I started running again, filled my apartment with things that were mine alone. Claire and I stayed in touch. She started therapy and seemed genuinely free. 3 months later, I went to Italy. Not to escape, just to reset. One evening, I met someone named Elena. She had kind eyes and asked questions that made me laugh. I didn't plan anything, but it felt different. Simple. Real. When I came back, I drove past Harborview Terrace. The gates were open, a new couple taking photos where mine were supposed to be. I slowed down but didn't stop. Some stories end quietly, not with revenge but with release. When someone shows you who they are, believe them. And if they invite their ex to your wedding, believe that too. Thank you for watching.